In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Well, let us go to the next discussion on morphology. Okay, let us go to page, what page it is? 78. Okay, on the top of the page it is written something like derivational morphemes. Remember, we talked about morphemes. What were the morphemes? They were the smallest meaningful parts. Like, for example, if there's an example here, I can show it to you. So, well, for the word, let's say classify, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, we say class is one word, and fi is added to this word. The result is that a word of two morphemes. Class is one morpheme and fi is another. Okay? Back here, there's another distinction in morphology in terms of derivations. We already talked about derivations in the previous chapter. Okay? What were derivations? Derivations were the time you add prefixes or suffixes. Actually, English has got so many suffixes. Okay? So derivational morphemes are when we add prefixes and suffixes which change the meaning, and the category of the word, a verb, a noun, a verb, etc. So we call them as derivational morphology. Okay? So line 2 says one type is described in chapter 5 in terms of the derivation of words. Okay, these are derivational morphemes. Okay, we use these bound forms to make new words. This is important, to make new words. Okay, or to make words of a different grammatical category. So words of a different grammatical category. Okay, so it appears on line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what does a derivational morphology do? What does a derivational morpheme do? They add two things at the same time. Sometimes one, sometimes both of the two things at the same time. Number one, when we add a morpheme like meant, like eyes, okay, like fi here, we change the class of words. When we add, for example, meant actually changes a word into a noun. Or when we add a fi here, okay, a fi, it's here. What does it do? A fi is added to a word like, let's say, class, say classify. What is the result? The result is a verb. So number one is something like this. Number one, the first thing that derivational morphology does is something. We make a new kind of word by adding something like meant or a fi to the end of, let's say, words like encourage, to have encouragement, and class to classify. Okay? So what do? Number one, we add something in order to change the part of speech, the grammatical category. So the result is a new word of another grammatical category. It was a noun, now it is a verb. But if it is a verb, it is a noun. So the verb, let's say, encourage is a verb. When we add meant to it, it is a noun. Encouragement is a noun. Or class is a noun. We add fi to it. What is the result? Now it is a verb. So we say derivational morphemes actually change the parts of a speech sometimes. Okay? What else do they do? they make new kinds of meanings for us. They make new kinds of meanings for us by changing sometimes the parts of speech. So class is something, classify is something else. Encourage is something, encouragement is something else. So we have these two types of, in fact, changes. Number one is changing the grammatical category. Number two is making new words that derivational morphemes do. Okay? Derivational morphemes are like this. Other examples of derivational morphemes in English appear on the last line, in addition to fi and ment. Re as a prefix, pre as a prefix, ex as a prefix, mis again as a prefix, co is another one, and on. All these are derivational morphemes in the form of a prefix. A prefix. Well, and a fi, and ment, and ize, etc. are examples of suffixes of this type. Okay? So derivational morphemes can be either in the form of prefix or in the form of suffix. What do? They do two things at the same time. They make a new word for us, and sometimes they change the the grammatical function of the word. It is sung. I am done. But sometimes we have again some other morphemes. They do not change the meaning. They do not change the parts of speech. They simply act as a kind of thing that is added to show where in the sentence this morpheme must stand. Where in the sentence? Where in the sentence? Let's see. There are a couple of examples, 4 examples here. When we say Jin's 2 sisters, line, what page is it? It's page 78. The discussion, inflectional morphemes. The topic is inflectional morphemes. And line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line 6. Okay? Jin's 2 sisters are really different. Jin's, apostrophe N-S. Jin's, apostrophe N-S. Or sisters, as plural. What do? Neither the morphemes, apostrophe N-S, or the S plural, do not change the parts of speech. So sister is a noun, sisters is again a noun. No difference in the meaning. So sister and sisters are no different. So let us call them inflectional morphemes. Number 2 is this guy, Jins. Well, when we add apostrophe S like Jin, to change it to Jins, there is no new meaning here. There is no change in the grammatical function of the word. Jin is a noun, and it continues to be a noun. What is this S? This S is only and only to show that it's a kind of possessive construction. So in possessive constructions, we add something like S. Okay? So this is another example of inflectional morpheme. Again, you see no change of meaning, no change in the grammatical function. Okay? Other examples. S plural. Third person singular. Next line. One likes to have fun. Okay? What is this S? This S is an inflectional morpheme. Okay? Inflectional morpheme. Likes. What does it show? Third person singular. Well, Have you ever noticed that inflectional morphemes are we can find so many examples of inflectional morphemes in your language, Arabic? So jalasa, jalasa, a is third person singular. Jalasa means jalasa. When we say jalasa, we mean two guys, two men. Jalasu, we mean more than two. Okay? So it's exactly like this one, likes, as plural. But in English, we do not have so many instances of inflectional morphemes. Arabic and Farsi are good examples. In Farsi, we have, let's say, six morphemes are added to, let's say, a noun, a verb. In Arabic, it is better because, in fact, they say it is about 14 different kinds of inflections added to. So we say jalasa, jalasa, jalasu, jalasat, jalasata, jalasna, jalasta, jalastuma, jalastum, jalasti, jalastuma, jalastunna, jalastu, jalasna. 14. Okay? What about English? English has got only one, as third person singular. Remember, so anything that you add to a verb or a noun, sometimes the noun, okay, is an example of inflectional morpheme. What do the inflectional morphemes do? They do not change the parts of speech. They do not change the functional category. They do not change the functional category of the word, the words. Okay? They only show where in the sentence, where in the structure of the sentence they have to be there. Okay? Other examples are like ed in the past. Other examples are like est, which show loud, loudest. Okay? Loudest. Okay, like this. These are all inflections. So nouns, verbs, and adjectives can have inflections. Okay? Inflections. So in Arabic we have, let's say, sometimes we say kitab, no inflection. Kitabain. Ain is a kind of inflection. Okay? But not kutub. Kitabun, we don't use the word kitabun actually. Kitaban. We say kitaban, but we don't say kitabun, okay? Anyway, when we talk about inflectional morphemes, remember your own language. Your own language. It's like what? It's like tasrif in the grammar of Arabic. Okay? Like tasrif. Okay? Well, back to derivational morphemes. Derivational morphemes are found in languages like Farsi, like English. Okay? Remember, it's like that. Now, this table, actually table 6.2, shows derivations and inflection morphemes. Well, look at the first example. Derivational critic, we make a new kind of vocabulary, criticism. Okay? Or a verb, criticize. Or adjective, critical. Okay? Like this. The next one, encourage. Encouragement, okay? Another derivation. And classify, we talked about this. Wonderful, this is another example. Okay? But now let us look at inflections. Gens, apostrophe in this. It's a kind of inflection. The two lines above were actually derivations. Now these are inflections. Likes, yuhibbu. O at the end of يحب. Okay? O in Arabic, يحب. Okay? Okay? Now it's like what? It's like an inflection. Okay? يحبون. يحبون. Una is a kind of inflection. Okay? Laughing. You see again, this for this word, ing is something that we have verbs and ing is added. Like for example, qadim or ضاحك. Okay? ضاحك. Okay? But in English, we add something like ing here. Okay? To show something like, let's say, the present or past, both of them, continuous tense, present or past continuous tenses, or let's say present or past progressive tenses. Okay. Quiet, quieter is another one. Below it we have sisters as plural. The next one, enjoyed, ed past. Okay. And been, en at the end of been, and loud and loudest. Loud and loudest. Est is another inflectional morpheme. Remember, the discussion of inflectional morpheme is important for you. Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about morphological description. Well, I'm gonna in fact have something as short as that about morphological description. If you go to the next page, the next page 79 doesn't want to say something special. You actually go to, in fact, let me find the example because you cannot easily see. Okay, well, if you actually go there, it is somewhere to the end of to the middle of page, the next page. Page 79. You can see the teacher's wildness. Okay, shocked the girls. Okay, so it's not easy to show it like this because it's difficult now for you to see, but I can easily see in my cell phone. It's something like this. The teacher's wildness shocked the girl's parents. Okay, below each morpheme, the type of morpheme is written for you. So there is the functional morpheme, teach is the lexical morpheme, and next is okay, there and teach. You can now see it, and teachers. Okay, for the teacher we say er is a derivational morpheme, apostrophe s is inflectional morpheme, continues to the end. Okay. Well, if you actually go to the classification below on the end, at the end of the page, you see something like figure 6.1, which talks about types of morphemes. How many morphemes do we have? Let's see. The table says, the figure says that there are two types. Figure 3 and about. Well, if you actually continue to the right side, you see there are 4 types. Lexical, functional, derivational, inflectional. Okay? And these are examples. Okay? So, if you want to, in fact, summarize everything, the result of derivational morpheme and inflectional morpheme appears on page 79 like this. Okay? Somewhere in the middle of the page 79 and somewhere at the end of the page 79. Okay? I don't want to continue with the discussion here so far. Why? Because you have to understand. In fact, what these two audios in order to go to the next one to understand what we mean by let's say morphs, allomorphs, and special cases. So I'm gonna talk about it in my next presentation just now.